From million-dollar lotteries to, quote, joints for jabs in Seattle, states are pulling out all the stops to incentivize getting the COVID-19 vaccine. Now, several judges in Ohio are offering convicts the option of going to prison or getting the vaccine as a condition of their probation, not going to jail. But is it legal? Let's take that question to attorneys Ethan Behrman and David Bruno. Great to have you both with us. I want to start with this Judge Fry in Ohio, who has put together, in one case, this is a plea deal involving defendant Cameron Stringer. He says this: defendant shall obtain or maintain verifiable employment and or successfully complete an employment program. To assist with his ability to gain employment, defendant must get the COVID-19 vaccine within 30 days and provide proof to the probation department. David, what's the issue?
Yeah, I have so many problems with this. And I'm in this space. I'm a former prosecutor. I represent people charged with crimes. You know, these conditions of probation, and any sentence for that matter, they really should be tied to rehabilitation, punishment, or deterrence. And it's not just that. I mean, this is the government. It's a third branch of government. It's the judicial branch. And they should not be compelling the vaccine, especially when we're still in this emergency period. The emergency statute says that the vaccines have to be voluntary. And there's nothing voluntary about that when you have a judge that's issuing a sentence, even if the defendant chooses between one way or the other. I mean, it's really compulsion at its best, because that defendant is shaking right there. It's the most nervous position a person could be in when being sentenced by a court. I don't believe it should be happening.
Well, that's literally what one of these defendants said. Criminal offender Sylvan Latham, he was sentenced for gun and drug charges, and was sentenced by Judge Fry, who we were just talking about there. This is what he said about when he was confronted with this option. He wasn't expecting it when he was facing the judge.
Shaken at this point. Like, I don't really like where this is going. I feel like it is an overstep, especially when he asked me would I get it, and I said I really don't want to get it.
Ethan, he said, you know, this is not like being told to pick up trash. This is his body and having something injected. But he felt like standing there in front of the judge. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, I mean, this is discretion of the judge. It's your option of go to prison or accept the terms of probation, which there are much more extreme measures than saying, hey, get the vaccine, which you ought to in a state like Ohio, where they're already below the national average for fully vaccinated adults. Such as, and David knows this well, often convicts will give up their Fourth Amendment rights and have warrantless, without notice searches that are part of their probation. Probation can include things like restricting travel, can require DNA samples to be taken. This is not extreme at all. We're still in a pandemic. And actually, the judge is looking out for the convict in this case because, as David correctly pointed out, there are certain jobs that will require you to be vaccinated. So if we want rehabilitation and reintegration in society, you better get vaccinated.
Well, David, it sounds like the ACLU and some other groups are considering legal challenges to this idea. Do you think they have any chance?
Yeah, sure. Sure. I mean, there's a couple ways to attack it. It's at the point of sentence, but even more so, what's the court going to do if this defendant doesn't get the vaccine? That's where it really comes into play, because is the court going to violate this individual, saying that the terms of the probation has been violated? And then judges have discretion to sentence defendants to prison. So there's where challenges will be. And the judge in the article that I read, at least, had no good answer as to what was going to happen if the defendant didn't get vaccinated. I think he's probably going to take a step back and realize that it's not his place to compel vaccination.
Okay. About 10 seconds to Ethan for a final word.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to hold. And again, we're not asking about sterilizing a convict, which has been ruled illegal by the Supreme Court. This is within the rights of the judge and his discretion. I think it holds.
We'll follow it, Ethan and David. Thank you both very much.
Thanks, Shannon.
Thanks, Shannon.